Previous session we have seen the stages of machine learning where we know selection, pre-processing, transformation, data mining, evaluation can be done to extract knowledge out of the data available. Now we are going to understand how do we read data in Python. So suppose we do have an example structured data for supervised machine learning known as scrapemaillist.csv. This data contains a lot of variables. So there are three variables currently: title, email and URL, and they have respective values. So we are going to read this file in our Python editor. So in order to do that, we make use of import pandas as PD. I'm going to quickly explain you how that works. So using this PD, we are going to call a function read CSV, and we are going to give name of the file scrapemaillist.csv file. So here is the scrapemaillist.csv which I'm going to read, and I'm going to store that onto a data variable, and I'm going to show behind the scenes what exactly happens when we call this code, and finally we are going to print the data. So now you're going to understand the process of how data is read in the program's memory, and later we are going to analyze it. So I'm going to quickly debug that for you, and I'm going to call it as the read data program. Now within this read data program, the first statement you can see is import pandas as PD. So what do we do is we go to pandas directory. So in your machine, there is a directory known as pandas, which is installed once you install Machine Learning Studio or Anaconda Navigator. So here on our machine, let's say there is a path known as pandas directory. We are going to read that path. We are going to store that onto the memory address. Now that memory address is going to be stored onto a variable known as PD. So now PD becomes a variable. Using this PD, we can access this directory and we can execute any of the packages. Now we'll go to the next step where we are going to execute pd.read.csv, and we are going to read this list, scrapemaillist.csv file. So first, what are we going to do? From the statement, we are going to go to the PD variable. We are going to access its address 950. Then we'll go to that address where we do have the value of that pandas directory available. Now we have access to all the functions, whatever we want to access. So using that directory, we will be able to access the right file, and we will be able to read the CSV file using this method read CSV. Now what exactly is going to be done? Second, we are going to go to the variable scrapemaillist. We are going to read that where the path is available. So that path is currently available in the current directory. So that value, name of that file is read, and we have stored that file onto heap. Currently, if you will observe, there is no data as of now, but as soon as we progress, you're going to get that data. So we stored the name of that list. Once we go to the next, now we are going to execute this module read CSV. Once this method read CSV is going to be executed, we are going to get that data read. So now you can see over this heap address 290, the complete data has been read, and you will be able to observe the data once we are going to execute it. So this data has been read from the CSV file and has been kept at a memory location 290. Now we are going to store that into the data variable. So once we execute that, you can quickly observe that we have got the data variable loaded, and this data variable is available at this 290 location, and within that data variable we have email, title and URL. All the columns are stored at different memory locations, and there are various other attributes which are being calculated once we read the CSV file. Okay, so we can discuss on all these attributes a little later. So I'll actually show you the complete data. So at 290 memory address, we do have this complete data available and loaded. And now what we are going to do, we're going to print the data. So once we call this print function, what is going to be done? We'll go to the data variable. Now data variable is available over here. We are going to fetch the memory address. This memory address 290 actually stores the complete data. So we are going to access that from the heap, and we are going to print that. So once we call this method, this statement is going to be executed, which means it is going to print the content available at this memory location 290, and you can see that at 290 we do have this content available. So we can also observe that onto the heap, but especially I would like to show you that the content is available over here. So now let's just execute that, and once you execute it finally, so 8058 is the memory address which has been created new, where the complete content has been stored. So this is the overall process of how exactly reading a file from your computer happens, and how it is read and how it is kept in your program's memory for data analysis. Thank you so much.